Welcome, Go players. Today we're talking about the Devil's Sword Joseki. This was one of the most popular josekis in the past before AI came out and the modern new take on this shape. Now first, the basic shape of the Devil's Sword Joseki. It's here, right from the beginning, 3-4 high approach, 2 space high pincer. This is looking for very strong fighting. And here white plays one of the strongest moves you can think of in response to a pincer. White plays a large space, 2 space knight's jump, pressing black into the corner. This is why this is known as the Devil's Sword or Demon's Knife Joseki, where white is really pushing down and cutting down into the black shape, and where black also makes a very committed attack, this attach, where black is not totally connected, taking lots of risks for both sides. Okay, basic shape was this Joseki, headbutt, hane, place this one, black extends, white plays here, and black extends. This is a relatively even shape. And there's a lot of other variations that leads to other complicated variations. But this is a basic devil's knife, devil's sword shape. Okay, now the refutation, why this movie is never played anymore, and that is after AlphaGo came out, people, AlphaGo and then people discovered the counter to this shape. And that is, right at this moment, white does not play the normal blocking at the 3-3. White pushes in and just really greedily, crudely captures the one black stone over here. This was considered very good for black before having a very strong outside and then severely damaging 2 white stones on the outside. This was sort of very good for black, but now it's thought of as very good for white. And the thinking is white's 2 stones on the outside, while they are damaged, they're not totally taken off of the board, so black eventually has to sort of make sure that they remain dead, while the black stone that's been captured is taken totally off of the board. So the thickness advantage actually goes to white in this case, because white's corner no longer needs any worry. And in order to sort of justify this, like, I don't trust the AI's evaluation, I just don't trust it. In order to sort of get around this problem, not understanding the nuances of the shape, it's very difficult. Even the top professionals didn't understand before AI came out. A common technique people use is to start off with a very well-known, normal, even Joseki shape, and have this be the basic shape, and then trying to add moves to it to try to recreate this complicated, hard to figure out shape on the top right. This is a totally normal Joseki shape. This is a fine move. White Tanukis placed elsewhere. It's okay to Tanuki. This is totally even, slightly good for white because this stone here, D12, is not at the most optimal spot. This move is a good exchange for white. This is about even. And then this hane is another slightly good exchange for white. So up to this point, white has recreated this corner shape with very little problems. Basically even, and still is gaining. Now at this point, black connects, and then white plays here. This is a good exchange for black. But next black plays here, which is also not very optimal. So white only loses somewhat with one of these exchanges, and the last one to some extent. But all the previous exchanges were very good for white, and it's a little bit easier, sort of, to get at the conclusion, to come up with the conclusion that this shape is better for white with this kind of method. Still, as you guys can see, it's not easy to tell. White loses some exchanges, black loses some other exchanges, but anyways, this is a common technique to share with you guys. Now next, some other variations to this demon's sword shape. First, the other variations in the original shape. This was probably pretty, this was a basic shape. It basically always happened. It was well known that white has two choices now, the steady, thick, and solid move here. This move is very, very far away from any black stones. So noticeably, this sort of ends the joseki. There was another very common one, which was to extend. This is where white is very greedy for more territory, and the idea is white would rather spend two moves here in order to get more offensive abilities against black. This way white's corner is much bigger, the right hand side is, black's territory is much smaller, and the black stone here is much, much weaker. There's no cut here, and so on. There's no peep to make black stronger in sente, this kind of thing. And the basic variation is here. Yes, I say it's basic, it's quite complicated. And this one, cut, white jumps, plays here. This results in this ladder. So this ladder, so it was well known at the time that the demon's sword variation, white can only play the greedy variation when white has the the ladder. So without the ladder, it's still relatively okay. For example, black can play this one. This was one of the other variations, white ataris, and then jumps. Black has a not jumps, but goes and secures the capture on the inside. So you can see here, black has one less liberty than any of the outside groups, and this is okay. Another variation was black just plays here. This is getting ready to threaten to capture white this way. This way white has 3 liberties versus 4, and when white goes for the ladder, by the way, this is how white can survive after black plays here. Instead of running the ladder out this way, black runs the ladder out this way, and we can see here how black modifies the extension a little bit in order to make this sente. Basically, white has to play this atari. Of course, if you do want to play that, you probably will want to play this one and then just play something like this. The hane on the outside being a sente move to a good exchange. Anyways, complicated variations, ladder dependent and stuff, basic joseki variation. That is all out the window. If you're white, all you have to do is push and cut and capture black in the most crude way possible. Black doesn't have to hane. Black may cut first, but this is a small difference. Still very, very good for white. You can also hane and just atari to make totally sure. Anyways, this is this shape. This shape happens. Very significantly good for white. Now one more variation, and this one is basically what black has to play nowadays in order to fight back against that push. And this one again ladder dependent, and white black extends. This was the other devil's sword variation or demon's knife variation. White pushes and cuts, and here black with the ladder is able to atari block and capture 2 stones. So white cannot push and cut right away, usually speaking. Then white plays this hane move, black plays here, and we can sort of revert back to the shape. Now, back in the days, black would play this move. There was no reason to play this variation. nowadays, black plays here only to play this hane into the corner, then white pushes and cuts. This was a very complicated trick joseki. As you guys know, trick josekis are often called knives in the joseki dictionary, joseki verse, and this is a very complicated variation that you guys may still run into in the modern day. The key to remember for this shape is whatever black does, as long as white gets this extend in sente, black is going to die in the corner. And even if black doesn't die in the corner, he has to connect. So whatever black does, he has to prevent white from playing this. And then whatever happens, black has to save the middle somehow. And the key here is after black plays in the middle, as long as white gets this double hane, white is going to be fine. It's still not capturable. You can't double hane here for black. So white's very comfortable in the corner. Black is not comfortable anywhere. So that's the and it doesn't matter if black gets these Atari moves. Just doesn't matter. This move block also doesn't. Black is gonna die. Okay, another one is another very strong move is for black to cut here or push here first and then cut here and then jump and then cut here. Fighting against white on the top. The variation we need to remember is as long as black gives white this very, very nice, of course ladder him if you can, but if you can't, very, very nice roll and pack method, and then white just has to worry about surviving in the corner, and this would be a tremendously good result for white. And white can survive just playing something like this. Maybe white is gonna survive, and then black is gonna, the shortage of liberties for black is gonna be very, very bad. Okay, so that's a way to fight back against that. Black pushes here, just make a hane and play that. Just make sure you can play this double hane, and then you're all good. And so we should be pretty settled in this case. Now, of course, if the ladder does work for white, you can push and cut directly, and this would be okay. So, all right. So hopefully you guys will have the this variation all sorted out, and this would be all good. Okay. So the flying knife is slightly worse for black. Almost always, without the ladder advantage, it's extremely bad. Even with the ladder working for black, this is still a little bit bad for black. What are the modern day variation josekis? And there are basically 2.5. So the good moves. So first, let's go with the half. It's almost always okay to attach on the bottom of the high approach and get yourself a fine corner. This is a half because this shape is slightly good for white, generally speaking. Right now it's totally fine for black as well. So attach underneath is half. It's almost never bad. The two main idea moves are here. One is to jump, and this one, if white blocks, then black is able to play the super strong aggressive fighting moves. White, often plays this block, and in this way, black is pushed down into the corner as white wanted, but black regains, a very respectable amount of territory and the sente, and so this way black can also be satisfied. This is one joseki. Now this, despite this one getting very, very close to white and sort of really threatens white by getting, by making, the cutting threats, this one is not very, very offensive. This is kind of like the headbutting joseki we talked about earlier, where you're getting close to the opponent and making a direct threat, and then just getting yourself your territory. And the purpose is actually to settle the position and move on to the other parts of the board. The moves that the interesting move is this diagonal move into the side. This is a move Black wants to play if he wants to preserve the attacking stance in this shape. Now, Black played the 2-space high pincer, so usually Black does want to preserve the attack going on here. And this one is, it's very interesting because it's by itself, it makes the Black corner very, very strong. It's very similar to this diagonal move that we see in other josekis, and but this is on the second line and everything. So the good parts about this, the corner is very, very strong. There's no way to really reduce the corner. The next attach is very, very strong. White is going to be cut, and Black also has this large knight move to run out onto the sides for extra safety. So Black is really, really strong in this local shape. The way to counter this is to just tenuki. Black has made himself super strong, but as long as White is willing to accept a moderate amount of losses, this is going to be also okay and playable for White no matter what. So you can't punish Black at all with by continuing to bully him. Black is already too strong to bully, so the way to deal with this is to tenuki and play something very, very efficient, like this move, like press here, like counter pincer, and so on. Anyways, lastly, I show you guys a super famous game from the flying knife, not the flying knife, the devil's knife or the demon's blade joseki. Had the super cool name to it, which really made it so popular, and it was so popular pre-AI days, as we will see in this game. This was one of Lee Sedol's early games in the around the turn of the century. They play this and headbutt, Black jumps. As we know now, AI prefers us to play this variation. Maybe just extend, but now back in the days, people thought that was good for Black. In this one, push, block, and yes, White does have the ladder, so White does go for the greedy variation, and then they go for this very, very complicated Black sacrifice variation here. Very, very interesting. This all resolves, and Black gets a lot of outside moves. And here Black goes for this move. It is not a direct ladder breaker, but all the it's very, very interesting. All the follow-up fighting moves will be, like for example, this peep will be a ladder breaker, and so this attach is going to be a ladder breaker. So at this point, White tenukis, fixes another move on the bottom lower right. They play this one, and Black captures here, White jumps. White has secured a good result on the lower right, but Black has played two moves on the top left. And so this game goes on, and at this point, Lee Sedol proceeds to play some bullying moves, and this starts off the super interesting open ladder broken ladder that was played out. So the ladder breaking move is this one. And so after White responds here, Black is now able to complete the ladder. This is a very, very bad exchange for Black because White Ataris, and this loses like 10-15 points. That's why Black had to run out these stones first and make these super bad exchanges first. And so White plays here. So now the ladder still does not work for black, but he runs it out anyway. It's one of the longest running broken ladders ever. And at the end, white succeeds, and black has now captured the 5 stones, saved the 8 stones, and then captured the 8 white stones and the other 7 white stones. So 4 groups for a broken ladder. That's like the longest ladder we've ever seen, which is super interesting. And incidentally, this is totally AI approved, and this shows one of the nuances of the one of the most exciting variations of the devil's sword or demon's knife variation. Alright, this was one of the most famous exciting games ever, and so with that said, hope you guys have no trouble running into the modern day flying knife when you guys play online. And just remember, if you do, you can always ask your teacher or the AIs in the review. Lastly, there are 4 names. So the first is demon or devil, and the second part is sword or knife. So which combination do you guys like to call this Joseki? I keep mixing it up, so I kind of like the devil's knife because of how close quarters combat it is, and how tricky and precarious all the shapes are. So devil's knife is my pick. What about the other choices? Are devil's knife, devil's sword, demon's knife, and demon's sword. So 4 choices. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have another good name for this Joseki, let me know. And this was one of the most mind-bending AI contributions to Modern Go series. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.